everyone, G Money here, futurist disruptor ape, and your source for all things NFT. You're tuning into the Cutting Edge podcast, where we discuss the importance of the emerging NFT market with culture's most influential people. Whether you want to know about the next biggest drops or just want to know the basics of where to start, the Cutting Edge can help. If you like what you hear, please rate, review, and subscribe. Hey AJ, what's up, man?
What's up, G Money?
How you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself, man?
Good. I think it's worth having this candid convo, right? Like a couple of days ago, we were chatting up on stage in a room you started like pretty impromptu, and I thought the convo was really good, right? Of the bigger things that are happening here wise in the game. To me, it's been like a fun experience, and it's been like very like involved, more so than I even thought.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But like also not to the extent in which it hasn't felt like a chore, not in a negative way. It's been more involved, but not with a negative connotation. At least been my experience.
And it's been fun. It's like, and I know I've said this now a couple times. It's like, this feels like real life Game of Thrones. It's been a fun experience, to say the least, up until this point. I brought up Chiefer on here, who's somebody on my team. And, you know, I know he had a couple things that he wanted to discuss. Like, he's been in the game in the Discord since day one or day two and actively involved. And like, you know, I'll be honest, like I was saying this to somebody yesterday, the most DMs I've gotten regarding anything in crypto in the last week have been around this. Like when the alpha game was involved, like I had so many people DMing me, people being like, oh, make sure you reach out to the shepherd and all this stuff. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. It's been a good experience.
For sure. Hey, quick note, G Money, this is your room, this is your house. But I remember Wongsworth, who runs one of the kingdoms, he tweeted you and asking if he could join the stage. So he might be in here, and I know you were open to it. And then I also see Corey, he runs two of the kingdoms. He's here too. So your call on whether we kick Corey
for sure.
out.
Let's get him on stage. Let's get him on stage.
Yeah, Corey.
Sure.
All right, Corey's here.
I'm sending.
I think you have to invite him.
Yeah, I'll send the invite, and I'll make you a co-host as well, so you can invite people as you feel.
Cool. Yeah, I think having the kingdom leaders and having a round table could be fun.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is amazing. Like, I think this has been like a great experience up until this point. So, you know, I just kind of want to get people on here and talking, right, in a live space. I think I'm pumped.
So JMO, I just added him as a speaker. He's running Gary's other kingdom.
What up? G Money, thanks for hosting.
Dude, yeah, no, I'm glad. And I didn't really have an agenda on here. It was just really to kind of chat the game because I know the Discord's popping. I'm sure everybody's internal teams are popping too on the Discord, and it's been fun. Like, that's all I can say about my experience up until this point. And like, I even wish I had more time to devote to it.
Money is everyone starts talking pretty crazy, and then I get to hear your voice, and you just sound like such a good guy.
I mean, I don't know. I have to catch up on. I've been on calls all morning, so I have to catch up on DMs that are happening right now in the game. But I think it's going to be a great experience. To me, this is more about creating a play-to-earn game that's on-chain that requires massive coordination. That's fun. I'm excited to be part of this. I don't think we've seen that in crypto gaming up until now.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just so funny. Everyone's like, dude, G-Money's coming for your blood, man. And I hear your voice, and it's just like, there's no way he could be coming for blood like that.
Yeah. I mean, this is, at the end of the day, this is going to be a game, right? And we're all going to be playing strategy here. But for me, there's no ill will from me. I'm just trying to have a good time.
Love it, bro.
So G Money AJ, I actually had a kind of an opening question that kind of goes off of what you're saying, G. So, you know, I've been in like kind of the Web 2 tech space for the last 10 years or so. And you know, the trend that I see working, you know, with tech companies is if you aren't constantly innovating, your company goes stagnant or, you know, ultimately doesn't make it, right? You know, the innovative companies like Stripe and Square and, you know, the other kind of Web 2 tech companies that we're all aware of are the ones that are innovating and making it. And you kind of see it with the same thing with Web 3, right? You know, and you know, even divulging that down into NFT projects. You know, we see some NFT projects like the Bored Apes that are consistently, you know, innovating and bringing cool shit and making new partnerships. And then you see others that kind of just go stagnant and kind of die. So I'm curious, like, you know, just from your guys' perspective, because I know that you're involved in a lot of different projects and NFTs in general. You know, like, what do you guys think of what the Shep's building here? I mean, it seems like he's just pushing the boundaries of not only the NFT space from like a mechanics standpoint, but also like kind of like a social perspective. Like, it feels like we haven't really seen this yet in our space.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to jump in. To the point that you made, I think Web3, more than any other industry that I've experienced, is the most demanding of innovation and development, right? Where you can have an NFT project launch and, because of the market dynamics, it does pretty well. It gets up to like 0.2, zero point 0.3. And a week later, the entire community of holders, but really, if you look at it, they kind of feel like investors are saying, well, when are we going to get to a one floor price? When are you dropping a token? When are you dropping companions? Why haven't you done this? Why haven't you done that? It's very demanding. And I think in general, there's a lack of patience as just kind of like the culture within NFTs in particular and Web3. And so I think what the Shepherd has done is completely satiated that appetite, right? Like, I don't think there's a project that I can think of that has innovated and developed that kind of multiplication of innovation and development at the speed at which Wolfgame has and the Shep and the team have. And so I think that's a big driver for the success that we're seeing and feeling.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I mean, it's hard to think back that the project only minted in mid-November, and to think we've kind of been through what feels like a decade in Wolfgame time. It's only been 2 months.
Absolutely. And by the way, to the credit to Wolfgame, that 2 months has not been flawless, right? There's been plenty of bumps in the road. I mean, contract exploits and controversy and people disagreeing with big decisions. Like, I remember I personally was really I don't think I tweeted this because I didn't want to drive FUD and I wanted to allow myself to settle down, but I was pissed when you could buy that 10,000 plot of land with ETH because I thought everything was wool, everything was wool, everything was wool. And that was what was being communicated. And then that, wool tanked and people were pissed and et cetera, et cetera. But the fact that it's been able to go through a few peaks and valleys, but continue to trend up and to the right in terms of the adoption, the sentiment, and the financials shows me that rapid innovation, that rapid development is what's overcoming those issues.
Yeah, for sure, Adrian. I'm glad you brought that up. I think it goes to show big that he used that money for the bug bounties, right? He's been putting the money back into the business, and I think that's just more important than anything.
Yeah,
I
and
think
Corey,
it's a testament to the community too. I think we've had a really strong community on Discord and on Twitter, and I think that's been a solid foundation for this project too.
absolutely.
And to build on what AJ said earlier, right, with regards to, it has had its ups and downs. And I was actually talking to a pretty large game publisher, somebody at a pretty large game publisher earlier this week. And the thing that they said is like, one of the most interesting things I've seen in Web3 is Wolfgame in the play to earn space. And two is that if these exploits happened in like a normal game, like the game is done, right? There's no coming back from it. So I think to me, it's like the really interesting thing, right, is it hasn't been smooth sailing, but yet we're all still here, right?
Yep.
Like we're hosting an impromptu Twitter Spaces to discuss the game that started basically 2 days ago.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me that he's built in mechanics that like a pouch that's a dividend bearing asset. Like,
Yep.
he's brought in these DeFi mechanisms, which this is how I kind of got entrenched into crypto, so I'm very familiar with. But like, if you look at Convex or if you're familiar with Tokamak and the new bribe system, he's kind of bringing that into the game through the alphas right now, right? You guys are trying to bribe people to come to your team. It's pretty incredible. Wolves that are taxing people, sheep that are forking off of other projects, or or kind of breeding. These are kind of and then the whole thing in general is a big pool, right? You got to choose the pool that you're either your loyalty to a quote unquote DeFi project before instead of jumping ship to each project and consistently getting killed on gas and on staking and stuff like that, and choose the best pool that is going to meet your returns, right? So it's pretty, just to me, mind-blowing what the step's doing. And I had another question. You kind of brought it up. It's been brought up kind of a few times around just like the peaks and valleys. So obviously we've had a couple PR blunders, and the two of you guys are more in the media space. So I'd love to understand, like, when you're representing brands or maybe AJ, in your case, like athletes and stuff that kind of go through PR blunders, like how do you kind of like recover from things like that? I know there's still kind of people sitting on the sidelines of this project, which really, really bums me out because of, a little PR blunder that we had.
Sure. Yeah, do you want to go ahead first if you'd like?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't really have a playbook per se, right? Like the way I've operated in the space, and I don't. The only person I think I've met on stage is AJ, but I've chatted with a lot of people in the space, and I just try to be as authentic to who I am as a person online, so that when you meet me, you're like, oh, G Money is exactly the person who I thought he is, and that's kind of been my way to try to kind of go about it, right? Like I don't have I'm not trying to do like shady deals or like whatever. So the best way to deal with any situation, and I've always had this thought process, is like fix it, make it right, and like continue, and then just prove yourself in your actions going forward, right?
Yeah, that last line is exactly what I was going to say. It's just kind of like if you make a mistake, you just own the mistake, you address it, you accept the fact that you might have lost out on some people based on the mistake that you made, but then you still have an entire, narrative to write based on your character and your persona. And so, for me, I think just making decisions and having your moral compass point you in a direction where you're authentic and you're doing the right thing, not only helps you, I think, achieve that success and avoid PR blunders, but I'm also a really big fan of being able to put my head on the pillow at night knowing that I'm operating and doing the right things. I couldn't imagine. I don't think I have. Well, I definitely know I don't have like the sheer amount of stress and anxiety that I would carry with me if I was fucking people over, lying, stealing, like in real life. I think Wolf Game's a little bit different. We're playing a game, and I think everybody knows it's a game. But like real world lying, stealing, and being criminal, I would just have an anxiety. I would have a panic attack daily. I think I don't know. I'm just not wired that way.
Yeah, I totally agree with AJ. I like being able to lay my head down at night and know I'm treating people the way I want to be treated.
Yep.
Yeah, and I was just gonna speak on what Chiefers said about the wool pouches, and it also goes on. We all talk about sleeping at night. Shepard is not just making this up as he goes along. You can tell this has been well thought out for a long time, and he's implementing it in the right phases over the right amount of time. Leaking things. He's got a big heart, and I think everyone can see it, and that's what's going to take this so far. And again, he's not just guessing ever. It's a chess game for him as well.
I mean,
AJ and I
Jim?
were talking to literally two PhDs the other night that like specialize in game theory. And I'm sure reached out to a bunch of you guys being like, hey, like would love to just jam. This is fascinating. Like PhDs were like, this dude, this is so fun. Like they were studying it. They're having a blast. It was sophisticated. The learnings were like very nuanced. Like it's the real deal. So yeah, just +1 to everything said.
It's been crazy to see the people that have been coming in and out of our voice chat. We've had economics professors from NYU. We've had tax people come in and talk about how fascinated they are with the wool pouches. We've had mental health people come in randomly and talk about just stuff like that. It's been just a great community. That's like, again, I think coming back to like how we got past all these kind of things was just like the foundation that this community is kind of built.
Yeah, I feel Wolf Game. We're all obviously bullish on it. It's just like you draw a Venn diagram of the different kind of places this game is kind of bringing together. It's kind of mind-blowing where it could be. It's like at a pretty powerful point right now. I think there's a lot of pressure on the main game to kind of deliver what it's been building up to. So hopefully that kind of comes through, but so far the ride's been pretty fun.
You know what gives me so much confidence and why I'm bullish? If the main game launches and it's lame, I think it won't be lame a week later. He can just the agility and the ability to adapt is what gives me so much confidence. And first of all, I don't think the main game's gonna be lame because I just don't think that's gonna happen. But even if it does, he or she will just read the marketplace and adapt. And I think that's crucial.
To add to that, right? Like I know there have been like a lot of clones that have launched. And one of the reasons why like I never jumped into any of those is he just iterates so fast, right? And he's like seeing stuff in real time, and we know what we signed up for, right? Like I think I DM'd him when he wrote the like Alpha 8 Wolves, like send me a DM, and like I responded to him, and he was so cryptic in his messaging, and I'm like, okay, whatever you say.
That's so awesome. I mean, he's just the Shep's kind of like this Anon legend in my point of view.
Yeah, risky game and alpha game work iterated kind of on the fly, and they were able to kind of deliver and execute code like very quickly. So yeah, I definitely have instilled a lot of confidence in dealing with kind of like the huge roadblocks already, and just kind of continuing on without, keeping his like mythical persona going, and just being like, yeah, here's like the next thing. And I'm fully expecting some kind of announcement to come, maybe before the first decision or first action is made, or something soon, to kind of get everyone amped again for Alpha Game, because it's kind of gone at a normal pace now, and there's gonna be something to kind of
there's
inject
twists and
some.
turns. Twists and turns are coming. No chance. There's no chance this game is done in a straight line.
No way.
Yeah, I totally agree. Right? There's no, like, if this game was done in a straight line, it's like it wouldn't be that interesting. So I definitely assume he's going to keep us on our toes for however long this game goes for.
Yep. Hey, G Money, I see one or two people that they don't run Kingdoms, but I think they can bring some value. Is it okay if I add on?
Yeah. Bring up. I made you co-host so that way you can
Just
bring
wanted
up
to make
people
sure.
you see as well.
Yep.
What Shep
I don't even think Corey wants this to be a straight line. Do you, Corey?
Some people are saying Shep is Satoshi himself.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Or Vitalik. Or Vitalik.
Dude, what's up, AJ? What's up, G? I love the point you guys just made. Like, I think sometimes lameness and exploits necessitate innovation. Like, you think about pouches, they only happened because of the wolf exploit. And because of the pause, and like, it's fucking brilliant. In some ways, I kind of hope there are unexpected wrinkles. And like, I couldn't be more bullish because he's shown, Shep, that he's nimble, he's agile, he will develop solutions on the fly that are not simple.
100%. Yeah, I think the wool pouches is exactly, Corey said he's not doing this on the fly, and I agree, but sometimes things happen that require you doing it on the fly, and I just think the speed and brilliance of the wool pouch based on the contract exploit is why I'm just so bullish on the path forward. That summarizes it right there.
So AJ, you think that even if we didn't have that exploit, we would not have solid pouches? I just feel like that's something that he's been thinking of for a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe he had it be implemented earlier, but
yeah, I think he or she has always had a North Star. Let's start there, right? Like, I believe there's always been a North Star that it goes to. And so, the original plan was for what? An extra 27,000 or 37,000 NFTs. And I think that was his plan for kind of like regulating the centralization of wool and the liquidation of wool. But I also think that if and when we mint it out, if a week in he or she didn't like the economics of how much wool supply was happening, how much things were being sold, he might have or she might have just came up with wool pouches later. You know what I mean? That the North Star has always been the same, and that's why I think a lot of the innovation can ladder up to that. So yeah, listen, maybe wool pouches were in the back of the mind, but maybe the exploit just expedited the need for it.
Yeah, I'm a big believer that everything happens for a reason. I know y'all hear me say that a lot, and I think the game wouldn't, necessarily be as good if all those animals were, produced. I think it's something that, with the rarity of Gen 1 and the controversy that came with Gen 0 versus Gen 1, I think this is all just playing out how it should, and, the rarity concept of that and what it's going to mean now for Gen 2 when breeding starts, it's all good in my opinion.
To build on your point, Crypto Corey, is that here we are in the middle of a workday on a Friday, and we have 1,000 people listening to this right now, right? Like, this is a pretty strong community that has sprung up pretty quickly.
Yeah, no, that's amazing.
Yeah, just everything that he touches and does has been so meticulously thought out in my point of view. I mean, like, just even the GIFs that are being produced are talked about in Discord for hours and days, after the release.
No, Chiefer, that's a great point. I think a very underrated aspect has been the storytelling. Just the copywriting of the tweets, the GIFs are legendary. I think that's also played a really nice way of kind of just tying the fabric of the community and the game together. And I think that's been underrated in the success of the project, and I'm a big fan.
By the way, I see the economist from NYU, Anjoy. If you want to come up, Anjoy, I'd love to hear your thoughts initially since we've started the game.
Yeah, Anjoy, just request. I'll try to. G Money can bring you up.
Yeah, I'll try to bring him up.
I've loved chatting with Enjoy. He's basically put me out of business. I was building remedial spreadsheets and models and calculators, and Enjoy comes up with this, alpha hat account and these fucking calculus equations. I finally found what my AP calculus classes are good for.
Enjoy. If you're on desktop, try switching to mobile, and you can request to come up.
There we go. I think he's up now. Hey, Enjoy, how are you?
Hey guys, how are you? What's up? What's up? So yeah, it is fantastic game. Really fun, brilliant game. Alpha game is, and also just great community. Like I agree with everything you said about the storytelling and one project finally where we are not just flexing PFPs, but people are doing math. So Brady Santo, absolutely, it's great. I just posted on our Alpha Hat page, which is gonna try to push forward like what people have done so far with the dashboards by bringing a dashboard that have some like forward-looking component in terms of how to allocate wool, because you can actually experiment a little bit with wool, but not other things. We are also building other stuff for like staking animals, and also maybe there will be one individual king who will have some insights, because as the game plays on, I think those tools will be important. But anyway, yeah, this game is like a brilliant, like large-scale game. It's like very complex. There will be two centers, but we're gonna try to think of all of those. Of course, there will be two events. Those will be very important too. But yeah, wool is scarce, and points matter. So really excited to see everyone play, and really a great community of nerds and fun people. It has been a lot of fun these last few days, just like staring these equations, coding, and doing stuff. Really great stuff. So follow Alpha Hat. It's our page at Alpha of the Game, and we'll be coming up with something soon.
Love
Can we
it.
get a
Thank
prediction?
you.
Who do you think wins?
Oh, well, who do I think wins? We can't tell yet. Yeah, we can't tell yet. We can also predict some movements on the board, especially at the bottom. But yeah.
Ooh.
And
I mean, so
there's winning for your team, and there's winning coming in first, right?
That's right.
Oh yeah,
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 I
yeah.
think
Oh,
that's the
Depends on
the
best
what.
answer
winning,
right
the
there.
Yep.
winning, the winning for the politicians is different from the winning for the people, which are the sheep and wolves, and it's different from the winning for the capitalists, which is wool as well. So all those three are different.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's the best part.
yeah. So it's a brilliant economy right there. Great. Thank you very much, everyone here. Awesome community,
But on.
Alpha of the
yeah,
Game,
thanks for
and looking forward. And we're gonna be chatting. Part of this great community. I sometimes also tune in the Discord. Fun vibes there as well. Really great. All right, guys. Thank you. And the Shepherd is brilliant. I mean, look, they are brilliant. The GIFs, I mean, like that black sheep.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you very much.
coming on.
Is it true? I'm seeing in Discord that Shep himself is listening to the spaces right now.
Is that true?
That people are saying that in Discord.
Yeah, but how would anybody
Well,
know,
that's electric.
right?
Yeah. I mean,
No, like the Wolf Games account or something.
oh,
Anyway,
the Wolf Game account. Got it.
Hey, well, Shepard, we love you, man. Or we just want to say that.
you might have just heard my wolf, aka my dog Laney, bark right now. Anyway, back to you, boys.
Hey, I have a question for GM and AJ. By the way, AJ, great to meet you finally in
Yes.
voice. We've had our
Yes, we have.
GM thing going on for quite a while. And I have a question for both of you. Because I had a chance already to speak to almost all the other Alpha 8s in the meantime, but since the two of you were last to like stake your Alpha 8 and make your decision, well, AJ got it from Gary and all of that. I'd like to ask, what was it that made you decide? GM, for example, you put out a tweet saying you're selling your A8. AJ had to accept, Gary V's request. So what was it? Because I'm guessing time allocation was in the equation in your variable, like how many hours, minutes per day are you going to be dedicating to Wolf Game, for quite a while. But what other variables were in there in that equation, and how did you come to the decision to move forward? Because it's not an easy decision to be an Alpha 8 in
Yeah.
Alpha Game.
G-Money, you want to tackle it first?
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. So Chiefer reached out to me. He was one of the first people to reach out to me, and we started speaking almost like right away. And me offering the Alpha 8 for sale was the PsyOps move that we decided that we were going to start with while he was working and trying to recruit other members as well. And that was pretty much like the game plan from day one. And we linked up with Jay Steezy, and here we are. But I agree. Like when this first came out, my first thought was like, holy shit, like I don't have time for this. So me teaming up with people that have been super active in the Discord since day one and really plugged into the space, into the game, was really what determined whether I would do it or not.
G Money, that was a risky move, brother. I almost bought that.
Yeah, I was negotiating with G Money, kind of. Not much, but I was in there.
Yeah, on my end, it really just came down to, Gary had two wolves, and he had to decide how he wanted to play it. So, he and I had pretty much from the second the announcement went out, we had a lot of conversations. I had a lot of conversations. I don't know if this was the Shepherd or somebody else running the Twitter account, but asking about what are the dynamics of delegation? Is there any issue? So a little of it was figuring out whether or not we could seamlessly and easily delegate to me or somebody else, and then we had to figure out, was I going to do it? Who else was going to do it? If I was going to do it, and so it was more so just for us to work through logistics and figure out how it would work. And, Gary had to make a decision. I think for Gary, it did come to a matter of time. He's just got a lot on his plate, and I don't think he wanted to let people down, but he's still involved. JMO and I had a conversation with him last night, conversation again this morning. Like Gary wants to be more involved than he is. It's like, it's so fun. It's so exciting. But, I think for him, that was some of the factors that we had to plan for, and why maybe there was a little bit of a delay for us to stake.
And
AJ, I
how
have a
much time
question
are
for
each
you.
of you? How much time are each of you dedicating to Wolf Game? Do you think for the next 30 to 60 days? Is it an hour a day? Is it 10 minutes a day, or half your day?
So on my end, it's easily a few hours a day. Call it 3 to 4 hours a day, and then where we do have a little bit of a benefit, JMO and I and Gary. We have a couple thousand people that work for various Vayner related companies. And so we have resources that allow us to scale, which is quite helpful as well. So it's not just me as an individual working on this. We've got a lot of resources, which is nice and a luxury.
Yeah. So to build on what AJ was saying, obviously my org is not as big as the Vaynerchuk organization, but I have people on my team that I'm like, we need to know all things Wolf Game, right? So
Yep.
it's not just me that's focused on it, but everybody on my team knows that this is a game and it's a high priority asset. And also I think having Chiefer and Jay Steezy on my team as my generals, like, I feel very confident because they're super plugged in with everything that's going on as well. So even and I'm like trying to stay abreast as much as I can. We all have a time crunch here, right? Like I saw Gary popped in here for a few minutes because I think, to AJ's point, like he's super interested and he wants to be involved as he can. It's just like, he needs to delegate.
It's funny y'all say that because, I'm just a man of one with my kingdoms and people over here. I've been joking around that, man, I need a team at this point in my life. 18-hour days, waking up, constantly DMs, Discord,
Yeah,
back to Twitter, back to Discord. It's
you're
been
in a
wild.
place where you need to build a team, brother. I'm happy to chat with you. Like, that's the biggest no-brainer, period.
Yeah, and I will
We-
say this.
yeah.
Even when you build your team, you'll still be pulling 18-hour days.
Yeah.
Build it after Alpha Game though, not right now.
One thing
AJ
I've
and
been so
JMO,
impressed by is by just working with G Money. I was like, oh, like he's just, he's way too busy for this. Like there's, we'll probably get like a DM maybe like once a day or twice a day. But like G Money's been so receptive to everything Steezy and I have been saying, and like consistently messaging us back, hopping on calls, which I didn't think I would expect. So, I saw him take it very seriously from the beginning. And Corey, we appreciate what you're doing for the game, man. Like you've been you've been an idol for a lot of people in this game from the beginning.
I really appreciate you saying that, Chiefer. And I know there's been a lot of talks about wanting to attack me, and guys, just know that no matter the attacks, again, I got so much love for everyone in this community. It's so much bigger than the intro game. I know I've talked about that a lot, it's good to be able to talk to all you guys, hear everyone's voice, hear the camaraderie, have everyone else hear that as well. That this is not going to get where it shouldn't go. And I again appreciate that, Chiefer.
AJ and JMO, I have a question for you guys. You're both a part of Gary's collective. How do you balance, individual priorities versus the collective? I think about Survivor, the TV show, and obviously you have alliances that can help each other get to the top 4, top 5 or so. But at some point, the gloves have to come off. How do you guys balance that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be transparent. I'm comfortable saying it, and I think people probably assume it already. I don't really think Gmo and I operate any differently than Corey does. Our team owns two kingdoms. Our incentives are aligned. It's one team. That probably adds a little bit of a bigger target than necessary on us, but it's the truth.
Don't you kind of want to beat JMO, though?
No.
I have AJ exactly where I want him. Is the TLDR.
AJ, I'm completely lulled to sleep by JMO is probably the truth.
No, I'm just pumped that G entrusted me, and AJ and I are collabing a lot, and I'm definitely taking and learning a lot from him, and doing me, and we want everyone on our squads to make cheddar. So yeah, it's collaborative. It's a blast, guys. That's all I got.
I think the reason why it's not like Survivor is that the prize is not black and white, right? In Survivor, one person wins $1 million. That's not how this is structured. And so that's why I think the gloves don't necessarily have to come off. I think the other dynamic, at least I'll speak for myself. I can't speak for JMO. I think I know what JMO's answer is on this, but I'm very much operating, and this sounds politician-y, but it's just the truth. I'm trying to optimize for the people that play with us. Gary's not terribly worried about what his take home is on this whole endeavor. So I think that's another interesting variable for us to be working through and navigating.
AJ, you talked about this not being a zero-sum game, and even before the rules came out and the prizes came out, I knew that Shepard was not going to make it like that and have just one kingdom win it all. I think, again, just goes to show his heart, thinking about every single person all the way down to just one sheep.
I agree. I think he or she making it so that it's not a zero-sum game keeps everybody invested for the overall project. And I think that was a very wise decision.
The other thing that I think is brilliant is that he allowed people to stake wool of any quantity. Because sheep has a huge cost. Some people can't afford 1.25 ETH, 1.5 ETH. But with wool, I mean, anybody can play with a few $100. Not even.
Yeah, let me just speak to that because I had a call today with this 24-year-old kid who got in touch with me and said, hey, I'd just like some advice. And we're just walking him through his basic entry into NFTs. And when I mentioned Wolf Game, he was like, oh, yeah, but, I can't afford a sheep, so I'm out of it. It's such a pity. I love it. And I'm like, but you can play with wool. And obviously he didn't know that. And I explained the whole thing to him. And Brian just brought it up. And I think this is a narrative that we kind of need to repeat. Just get the word out there that you can play Wolf Game with wool, and it's a fun game to play. And you can play with $50, with $200, and maybe your $200 will turn into 1,000. Maybe you'll lose your $200, but you are part of the game. And watching the dynamics now of what's going to happen with the attacks and the fortifications, and being involved in the different communities, there's a whole lot of fun in store, even for just wool players. Actually, my biggest exposure to Alpha Game is through wool by far. I mean, that's what I'm reading. My tough decision is, where does my wool go? The sheep and the wolves, I kind of just distributed it amongst a few of my Alpha 8 pals, let's say. But wool is really where I'm playing the money game. And so it's just as fun as with sheep and wolves, at least at this stage. And we'll see what happens when the real game starts.
Yeah, and I mean, the game has a shiny coat of paint. It's gamified. There's competition. It's a shitload of fun to be a part of. But at the core, for the average user, it's a DeFi staking mechanism. You throw your wool into a pool. There's variable returns, but in general, it's all upside as the game stands today.
Awesome. Hey, everybody! I need to run. I hope anybody listening that's considering our kingdom does not look at that as a lack of dedication or time, but I do need to jump into something else. This was really fun. Great chatting with some great players and some great kingdoms. And I have a funny feeling that this isn't the last convo of this nature. So appreciate everybody.
Thanks a lot, AJ. We appreciate your time, bro.
Just to remind you, AJ, and everybody, we have a Twitter Spaces every Tuesday at 1 p.m. It's usually hosted by Bri or by Neil or by Ron. But that's a great place for you guys to pop in, even just for 2 minutes, just to say hi. I think it can be a positive contribution to your kingdom.
I just made a note. And G Money, thanks for inviting me. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Dude, thanks for coming, AJ. I have another 15 or 20 minutes myself, and I say let's just jam for a little bit.
So I have a question, if you guys like generally for GM, but also for Bry and all the Alpha 8s and everybody that's up here, which is, in your minds, what's going to happen in 7 hours' time?
Well, I know someone's going to be able to make an attack, and a lot of us are going to be able to do anything. So I think it's about watching what the first steps are. Like any game of chess, you have one strategy going into it. You have a different strategy after the first move is placed on the board. So I think this is going to be an evolving game. We're all going to be using our big think tank, working around the clock to make sure that we're not sleeping on actions. And I think it'd be smart for us all to be using our communities and the sharp minds that are within the kingdom, and trying to make this a group activity and not just us calling the shots and making all the moves, but really trying to bring everyone involved into what's going to be really exciting.
But what's going to happen, Corey? Corey, 7 hours time, something's going to happen. What do you think
Yeah,
it's
no,
going to
I
be?
assume I'm going to be attacked. I mean, I'm looking at the scoreboard right now, and we got a healthy lead right now. And shout out to my kingdoms for that and the support. I made a post yesterday about the overwhelming support and love that I feel from so many people that we spend so much time together online and in the DMs, but not actually face to face. And I think it just goes to show how powerful Twitter can be, how powerful Discord can be, that we are pretty much growing a billion-dollar business together through these platforms. But I'm ready for it. I'm ready for the attacks. I know this is going to be a nail biter all the way to the very end. Anyone thinking that I'm just going to run away with this is obviously not seeing all the different, dynamics and variables to the game. So I'm excited for the competition. I'm excited for it to be close. I know there are going to be alliances, right? I mean, this is part of the game, and it's going to evolve. But just know that I assume attack is going to be coming. Unfortunately, some of these guys have a lot of wool, and some really big bags, and got that cool down time. I've been buying guys every day, 50 to 100 grand every single day since I got into this game, pretty much. And even the very first night, bought another 150,000 in wool in increments of 3 ETH. Trying not to pump it like I've been seeing the 20 ETH buys do. I'm a technical analysis guy. Those pumps really just cause sell-offs and big wicks on top versus a nice trend up, which I like to see on our chart. So I'm doing things a little bit more methodically when it comes to the buys, and following my technical analysis, which I've been sharing with everybody. At the end of the time, we want people to make money and not be down 20% immediately on a wool buy because of a FOMO buy. And that's education that I'm trying to bring to the table for everybody. The same stuff I do for my students over in Crypto Coach is, give value, teach while making a bunch of money. But even after buying that 150,000, it didn't even knock it back from 2 days to 1 day. So I went to sleep and woke up to a whole bunch of great supporters, investors, helping us get down. So the cool down period is definitely going to be a huge factor in this game, and wool is the the demanding factor, and whoever has the most wool usually wins the game, as Shepard said. And so I think this is going to be a constant accumulation of wool throughout this game, which is again really smart on the Shepard's part to be doing this. To be making sure that there's enough price action, enough daily volume coming on wool to not even just attract people in our game buying, but even people outside of the game to want to buy this and hold this like any other altcoin that have in their bag to be able to get a 10x move.
Yeah, it's funny to build on what Corey just said. As I've been talking to like my DeFi whale friends and like trying to explain the game mechanics to them, their immediate thought is like, oh, this is pumped like whatever 5 or 10x in the last month. Like I'm not buying it here, and I'm like, all right, I'm trying to explain it to you, but you're gonna have to wait, and then you're gonna find out on your own. But like, I mean, I'm not concerned. Like the price is lower than where I had that 100 ETH buy a few days ago, and I'm not really concerned because to me it's like wool is like the essential part of the game, right? And like when you look at the price of wool right now in a vacuum, you're like, oh wait, why is it lower? But it's like seeing what crypto has done in general and what the macro overall picture has happened in the last 48 to 72 hours. You're like, oh, okay, I understand why this is down at the moment, right? But like here we are. How many of us are in here right now? Almost 900 people playing this game, listening to us talk about playing this game, and like we're not really that concerned with like the macroeconomic factors, right? So it's like I do think that um, to echo what was said earlier is, even if you have like $100 or $200 and you want to play the game and you're priced out of the asset, like you can at least get in through wool.
Yeah, and I guess to go off of what G-Money said real quick, Brian, I know you were about to say something, but guys, we can't even look at the weekly stochastic RSI. I mean, I'm strictly trading right now off the daily and the 12-hour, which just goes to show how new this coin is. I mean, we only have about, 8 or 9 weekly candlesticks. So, what people see today almost reminds me of that first move on Bitcoin when it went from 100 to 1,000 back down to 200, and you can't even see that market cycle anymore. If you look at the macro, I mean, it's just a complete straight line down there. So this is definitely the beginning. This has the ability, in my opinion, to, and again, not financial advice, but to go to $3, $4 with where the market cap is right now, this year. I mean, can it get to, $5, $10? I think it's very possible if this, becomes $1 billion game and the market cap's up there, and we see wool in the top 10 of coinmarketcap.com, and we have more animals bred with Gen 2 and Gen 3, and bringing in those next levels of people on those stages, and seeing more than just 4,000 5,000 holders, but 10,000 and then 15,000 and so on.
Yeah, it's funny because you look at like some games like DeFi Kingdoms, which has gone exponential the last few months with their token Jewel, and like the mechanics behind it. First of all, it's like on Harmony, which is like no one uses, and second, like their market cap is like 10x ours, and their mechanics aren't even close to what the Shep's built in. So to me, like I think I was on here earlier or on AJ's spaces yesterday, and someone came on and asked, like, is it, are we still late? Are we too late to get into this? Like, if you compare this to DeFi Kingdoms, you're so early. If you compare it to Axie, you're so early, right? And just a story that I have is like I was watching Bored Apes, like I don't remember, this was probably in like August, right? And I was still I was still pricing like NFTs in USD, which is the worst thing to do if you're trying to make it in NFTs, in my opinion. And so I had a chance to get into to Bored Apes at 15 ETH, and I was like, oh man, like I think at the time, ETH was probably like, I don't know, $3-4 grand, whatever. And, so it's like, oh, there's no way I can afford to spend 45 grand on a JPEG. Like, but I believed in the project so much. I really wanted to be a part of it. Like they're pushing the boundaries of, a brand, I think, and as far as, the first Web3 brand goes. And I passed on it, and I just FOMO'd for so long. And then I finally got up the courage once Bored Apes was up to 45 ETH and bought one. And, I was able, and like, look at it now. Like, so, to be, you're still early in a lot of things, especially with, NFTs that are pushing the boundaries of like this is just pushing the boundaries of the NFT space, like we talked about earlier. And if you can be a part of a project like that, I think it's gonna treat you well, especially if you get into a quote unquote blue chip, which I feel like we're kind of just on the verge of getting to.
It's so fascinating to me, like what you comp this to. Like, if nothing else, for the folks that are in the most black and white, like view wool as gambling or the game is just like, can I make money or not, right? Which, everyone should study it. It's truly fun as hell. But say you're that person, I would much rather buy a couple $100 of wool and stake and play this game than put it on roulette. Like if you comp this to Vegas sports gambling, you learn a lot. It's fun. The returns can be outsized. You have a community. Like it's just so much better. But then if you comp it to gaming or if you comp it to art, the perspective changes. But, people really forget the dumb sorts of behaviors we all do on a regular basis. You know what I mean? So, for those that are on the fence, just get in the mix, roll the dice.
Yeah, I'm not a big gambler myself. I like to try to always, make good entries when it comes to trading, and I never look at anything that I buy as a gamble, almost more of a guarantee, just a win at that point. Is a breakout gonna happen? So, guys, I'm been trying to be the TA guy for the whole community and guide everyone through their wool journey and make it a good experience as far as, again, not buying something and just being down right away. I can just tell you from my experience of being a market maker in XRP and different type of altcoins, where you're trading on Binance and Poloniex and these other exchanges where you can see the order books. I've always called myself an order book guy, and being able to see where the buy walls are, the sell walls are. This is so different with the deck swap and having the liquidity pool and not being able to see order books. It really is a completely different animal and beast, and it's amazing what even just 3 to 5 Ethereum can do on a candlestick. So I just want again to open that up to everybody. If you're feeling some type of way, if you want to get into some wool, but you don't know when, you just want to have a little bit of guidance, feel free to shoot me a DM. I'll throw a chart down like I have for so many people in here, and just kind of give you an idea of what I'm seeing, what I'm feeling, and you always get full transparency from me on that.
Cool. Well, I do have to get running because I have to hop onto a call in a minute or two, and I got to prep for it. But I want to take the opportunity to thank everybody that's on stage right now. I'm pretty psyched about this game. I think we're gonna have a lot of cool twists and turns that are coming, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I honestly, I can say this is one of the best. One of the best. Oh my God, groups that I've been a part of in NFTs in a long time. So I'm super stoked, and I'm looking forward to everything that's coming, guys.
Dude, and
Thanks a
G,
lot,
I
D
just
Money,
wanted to
for hosting
thank
this. Oh,
you.
go ahead,
I
bro.
wanted to thank you for everything you're doing for the community, for the game, because people like you, AJV, Gary, JMO, I mean, you guys are huge in the space. You guys are true wolves. So we respect you guys. We appreciate you guys. We learn from you guys. So a heartfelt thank you to you.
Yeah, and
Absolutely. Hey,
G-Money,
D Money, thanks again for letting me come up here and speak. I know you didn't have to do that, being in the competition at all. It shows your character and lots of respect, brother.
Dude, for sure. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, like, this is a game. I know that the stakes are high, but I do think, going back to what we were talking about earlier, right, is like it's not zero sum. So for playing, everybody's going to experience some sort of gain just from playing the game. So to me, it's like, how can we prove to the world that play to earn can be fun, right? That it's not just sitting there clicking on a mouse button just trying to make money. And it's like, I mean, I see a world where this could kind of make national news, right? If wool gets high enough and the prize pool gets high enough, people will be like, what the fuck? Like, people are playing this on-chain game that's very crypto native, and maybe that's how, like, we go mainstream, right? And that, to me, has been one of the things that I've been very, very vocal about, is like, how do we get to 100 million people using crypto? How do we get to a billion people? How do we get to 5 billion people utilizing this tech, right? And it's like, we do it by messing around and trying new things and innovating. And like, that's what I'm so excited about that's going on here. And we see it with like the organicness of this community. And like, even though we're competing because we're on different teams, we're all part of the same game, right? Like, we're all gonna make it, we're all gonna win. So that, to me, is like the biggest win out of being part of this.
100%. And G-Money, uh, just wanted to thank you on behalf of the Pixel Vault, Board Ape Yacht Club, Adidas partnership. That was amazing to follow the story from you flying out there and meeting up with the Adidas first and all of that. And it's really cool to have you in the space. But just so you know, there's a few of us here that came from originally from Pixel Vault, like Brian and myself. We were very much into Pixel Vault, and we came into Wolf Game together. And many Pixel Vault people are coming in. But we, as a Pixel Vault member, I'd just like to express our gratitude for you having helped in whichever way you did get that partnership together. And it's proof. I think you and Pixel Vault and Bored Ape have shown that it's proof that this isn't a zero-sum game, that we can collaborate, that projects can get along, that all we need is creativity, innovation. We need to make the market bigger instead of trying to figure out how to split this little market between us. And I think that's something that you you achieved with the Adidas deal. And it seems to be something that you're looking to do the same in Wolf Game. And just a thank you on behalf of all of our communities for making everybody have a win-win in this situation.
Thank you. I appreciate the kind words.
So much respect for all of you guys. And G Money, thank you so much.
Thank you, and everybody, thank you for taking out an hour in the middle of a busy workday. So I really appreciate it, and I'm really excited about everything that's going to come. And let the games begin, as they say, right? So thanks,
Panthers
guys.
up first. Let's do this.
Right, later.
Later.
Thank you for listening to The Cutting Edge. Subscribe to stay up to date on our latest episodes. Follow me on Twitter at GMoneyNFT